I died on Christmas morning, choking on my own blood in the snow-dusted driveway of the house I'd built from nothing. My daughter's voice echoing in my ears like a final curse. This isn't your family anymore.
Mom.
Christmas is for real family. The bullet that ended me came from the man I'd called husband for 20 years. His face twisted not in rage, but in cold calculation, as if erasing me was just another line item on a balance sheet. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my 42-year-old body 3 years earlier. Heart pounding in a hotel room on the eve of that same cursed holiday, with the taste of cheap bourbon still on my tongue and a voicemail from my daughter Lila buzzing on my phone like a rattlesnake's warning. I jolted upright in the stiff king-sized bed, the kind with sheets that smelled like industrial bleach and regret. My hands younger, smoother, unscarred by the frantic clawing at my throat in my final moments, gripped the edge of the mattress. The room spun for a second, the neon glow from the Vegas Strip bleeding through the curtains like arterial spray. Vegas.
Right.
December 22nd, 2022. 3 years before the betrayal that got me killed. Before the inheritance my late father had left me, the one that turned my blood into a commodity. My phone vibrated again on the nightstand, Lila's name flashing like a taunt. I snatched it up, my thumb hovering over the screen. In my first life or death, whatever the hell you call it, I'd ignored that call, too deep in the bottle to hear the venom in her words. She'd been calling to check in, she said later, but it was the opening shot in their war.
Now.
I knew better. I hit play, and her voice filled the room, all sugar-coated concern laced with that Midwestern edge she'd picked up from her father.
Mom? Hey.
It's me. Dad, and I were just talking about Christmas. You know how it is, things have been
tense.
With the divorce and all. We're thinking maybe this year we keep it simple. Just us. The kids. Real family stuff. You know? Call me back. Real family. The words hit like a sucker punch, even though I knew they were coming. In that other timeline, I'd shown up anyway, uninvited, dragging my hungover ass across state lines from this very hotel to our old colonial in Elmwood, Illinois. Mark, my ex, the golden boy accountant with his pressed khakis and secret ledger, had welcomed me with a forced hug, while Lila shot daggers from the kitchen, her 2 rugrats orbiting her like little soldiers. I'd played along, sipping spiked eggnog, pretending the cracks in our foundation were just holiday stress. But 3 days after Christmas, while I was nursing a migraine in the guest room, she'd burst in, phone in hand, eyes gleaming like she'd hit the lottery. $3 million.
Mom.
Dad's firm just closed this massive audit, and there's a bonus, huge one. We're set.
But
we need to talk about the will. Grandpa's estate. It's tying things up. I'd laughed it off then, thinking it was excitement. But it wasn't. It was the hook. The secret they'd buried, my father's will, probated after his stroke the previous spring, leaving everything to me, his only true daughter, with a clause that if I predeceased him or died without issue, it reverted to named beneficiaries. They'd forged documents, whispered to lawyers, painted me as unstable, the drunk divorcee who couldn't be trusted with the family lumber fortune. Mark had the gun because I'd found the papers in his briefcase that New Year's Eve, the ones with my signature faked in shaky script. Lila had the alibi, claiming I attacked him in a blackout rage. The cops bought it. The headline screamed, "Tragic holiday shooting, estranged wife kills self after assault." But I didn't kill myself. He shot me point blank in the chest as I stumbled back into the snow, whispering, "For the kids,
Iminência.
for the family." And Lila? She sobbed on the news. Mascara running, calling it the worst Christmas ever. By spring, they were married in a quiet ceremony, irony's cruel joke, and the money flowed like champagne at their vow renewal.
Now.
Reborn in this sweat-soaked hotel bed, rage boiled up like bad acid reflux. I wasn't going to play the victim again. Not this time. I'd rewrite the script, starting with that call. My fingers flew across the screen, typing a response before I could second-guess. Sounds perfect.
Sweetie.
Real family it is. Enjoy the holidays.
Love. Mom.
I hit send and tossed the phone aside, my laugh echoing hollow in the empty room. It came out sharp, unhinged, the kind of sound that turns heads in dive bars. 3 years. I had 3 goddamn years to dismantle them brick by brick, before the will reading in June that lit the fuse. Mark's firm? I'd tank it from the inside. Lila's perfect mom facade? Shatter it with the truths she'd buried deeper than my grave. And the money? I'd make sure it choked them like the bullet choked me. But revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a labyrinth of moral gray zones. Decisions that make you question if you're the hero or the monster. First move, get clean. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, staring at the woman I'd become in those lost years, hollow cheeks, eyes like bruised plums from too many nights chasing numbness. Not anymore. I flushed the half-empty bourbon bottle down the toilet, watching the amber swirl vanish like my illusions. Then I booked the red-eye back to Elmwood. No dramatic entrance this year. I'd ghost them. Let the silence fester. By dawn, I was wheels down in Chicago, renting a nondescript sedan that blended into the gray slush of O'Hare's parking lot. The drive south to Elmwood was a blur of cornfields dusted white, Christmas lights winking mockingly from farmhouses. I didn't head home, to the empty craftsman I'd poured my soul into before Mark's affairs turned it into a war zone. Instead, I veered east to a seedy motel on the edge of town, the kind with vacancy signs that buzz like angry hornets. Cash only. No questions. Room 7 had peeling wallpaper and a bed that sagged like defeat, but it was mine. A foxhole. That first week was detox hell. Sweats that left me shivering under threadbare blankets. Visions of Mark's smug grin flashing like strobe lights. I'd scroll through old photos on my burner phone, Lila at 16. Gap-toothed and giggling on her prom night. Me in the background with curlers in my hair. Playing the proud single mom after Mark's first indiscretion. We'd rebuilt then. Or so I thought. Therapy. Date nights. The whole American dream reboot. But cracks had formed early, his late nights at the firm, her resentment bubbling as she chose his side in every fight. Dad's just stressed.
Mom.
You're being paranoid. Paranoid. That's what they called it when I found the first lipstick stain. By the time I uncovered the real secret, the offshore accounts he'd siphoned from my father's business to fund his mistress's condo in Miami, I was too worn down to fight. Divorce papers signed in a haze of pills. And Lila? She'd been groomed for it. Weekend visits turning into loyalty tests. Choose us or her, Mark must have whispered. On day 5, coherent enough to think straight, I drove to the public library in Decatur. No traces, everything on a VPN. Anonymous tabs. First search, Mark's firm. Hargrove and Associates. Clean on the surface. Mid-tier accounting for Midwest manufacturing. Clients like my family's old lumber mills. But dig deeper. And the rot showed. Whispers on finance forums about creative auditing, shell companies in the Caymans. In my death timeline, it had all come out post-mortem. Too late for me, but just enough to delay their windfall. This time, I'd accelerate it. I created an email, whistleblower@protonmail.com. Attached anonymized docs I'd memorized from that fateful briefcase, fudged depreciation schedules, inflated assets. Sent to the IRS tip line, with a polite note, season's greetings.
Ho ho ho. Uncle Sam.
It was petty, but it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. Then Lila. God. Lila. My baby girl. Now 25. Married to that tech bro from college. Popping out airs like punctuation marks on her Instagram empire of mom life. Her secret? Not just the betrayal, but the one she'd carried since college, the abortion she'd hidden from me. Funded by Mark's loans that came with strings. She'd confessed it in a drunken ramble the night before my death, sobbing that I was ruining everything by not stepping aside for the will. You don't get it.
Mom.
Dad needs this. We need this.
You're
toxic. Toxic. The words still burned. I hacked her socials, easy with a forgotten password from her teen years, and started seeding doubts. Anonymous comments on her mommy blogs. Isn't that dress last season's Target clearance? Blessed or broke? Petty? Hell yes. Controversial? In the cutthroat world of suburban influencers,
it was war.
Her engagement dipped overnight. Sponsors ghosting. I watched from my motel window, nursing black coffee, as her posts turned frantic. Feeling the holiday blues? Remember, family is everything. Christmas Eve came like a thief. The town bloated with lights and carols that grated like sandpaper. I holed up with takeout Chinese and a laptop, monitoring the fallout. Mark's firm had an emergency board call. My tip had landed. Lila's DMs flooded with hate from trolls I'd amplified on Reddit. But the hook, that call. In 3 days, she'd reach out, desperate for the $3 million illusion of security. Except this time, I'd be waiting. New Year's passed in isolation. The fireworks mocking my solitary toast with flat soda. By January, the IRS was sniffing subpoenas hitting Hargrove like confetti. Mark doubled down, lawyering up, his charm offensive on LinkedIn, all bluster and no bite. I shadowed him from afar, blending into coffee shop crowds, noting his new assistant, the Miami blonde, relocated to a discreet apartment in Springfield. Tempting to slash her tires.
But no.
Clean kills only. I tipped off his wife. Wait. That's me.
No.
His current side piece's husband, a burly union guy from the mills. Anonymous note. Polaroid enclosed.
Boom.
Domestic drama. Headlines in the local rag. Accountant's affair rocks firm amid probe. Lila cracked first. Mid-January. A text, Mom? Where are you? Things are weird. Dad stressed.
Can we talk?
I let it simmer, replying days later with vague concern. Played the martyr. The loving ghost. By February, she was calling daily, voice cracking over voicemails about needing family support. The irony was thicker than Midwestern humidity. Spring thawed the fields, and with it, the will reading approached. I'd relocated to a cheap apartment in Bloomington, posing as a freelance editor, legit cover, pays the bills. Mark tried reconciliation lunches, all puppy eyes and apologies for the rough patch. I smiled through gritted teeth, feeding him just enough rope. I miss us.
Mark.
But the money. Dad's legacy. It's all I have left.
He bit.
Hard. Floating joint management ideas that reeked of prenup clauses. Lila showed up unannounced one rainy afternoon, belly swelling with baby number 3, timing impeccable. As always. She hugged me like a lifeline, mascara streaked and rambling about starting fresh. I brewed tea, the kind with chamomile to soothe, and listened. That's when I dropped the first bomb. I know about the clinic in 18. Honey. Peoria Women's Health. You were so brave. Her face drained of color, cup clattering to the saucer.
How?
Dad said not to. Dad says a lot of things. I leaned in, voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. But I'm your mother. I know everything. She bolted, but not before whispering. You don't understand. The money fixes it all. Grandpa's will. It's cursed if it goes to you. You're broken. Broken. The word fueled me through the nights. By May, the IRS raid hit Hargrove like a summer squall, agents in windbreakers hauling boxes from the office. Mark in cuffs for questioning. The news cycle feasted, local CPA firm in tax evasion scandal. Lila's world imploded, her husband's startup tanked amid the association. Foreclosure notices piling up like snowdrifts. I stayed invisible, the shadow puppeteer. Controversial? Absolutely. I toyed with lives, amplified pains that might have healed on their own. But in the mirror each morning, I saw not regret, but clarity. This was justice. American style. Bootstraps laced with barbed wire. June 15th. The will reading in my father's old lawyer's office, a stuffy Victorian in downtown Elmwood. I arrived early, dressed in black like a funeral attendee. Mark slunk in late. Tie askew. Lawyer in tow. Lila waddled behind, eyes puffy, clinging to her husband's arm like it was flotsam. The lawyer, old Mr.
Hargrove, Norilastion.
Thank God, cleared his throat, spectacles perched on his nose. Emery Thompson, as sole heir, you inherit the full estate, properties, investments, totaling approximately $3.2 million. Gasps rippled. Mark's face purpled. That's impossible. We had agreements. Verbal. Mr. Ellis, Hargrove snapped. And forged, as the feds just informed me this morning. Lila lunged forward, hand on her belly like a shield.
Mom. Please.
The baby, we need it. Christmas is for real family. Remember? You said that. I'd said it? No. That was her line, twisted now like a knife. I stood, slow and deliberate, meeting her eyes, the same hazel as mine, but fractured. Real family doesn't bury secrets or bodies. Lila. It fights for truth. Security escorted them out amid shouts. Mark bellowing about lawsuits. Lila sobbing accusations of sabotage. I signed the papers with a flourish, the pen heavy as vindication. $3.2 million. Enough to rebuild, to vanish if I wanted. But I didn't. Not yet. The climax brewed that fall, as leaves turned bloody in the Midwest chill. Mark skipped bail, holed up in a cabin upstate, poetic. The woods where my father had felled trees for his empire. Lila filed for divorce from her husband, citing irreconcilable betrayals, but really, It was the money drying up. She called me then, not for forgiveness, but alliance. Help me.
Mom.
Against him. We can split it. Tempting. The controversial fork, ally with the daughter who'd mourn me with crocodile tears. Or burn it all. I drove north under cover of dusk. The cabin's address from a skipped court notice. Snow flurried early, blanketing the pines like absolution. I carried no gun. That was a sin. Just a recorder in my coat. And the forged will pages, crisp as fresh lies. He was drunk when I knocked. Shotgun propped by the door like an old friend.
Ain't.
What the? Miss me? Honey. I stepped inside, the warmth hitting like a slap. The place reeked of pine sol and despair, takeout boxes, crumpled briefs. He laughed, bitter, collapsing into a rocker. Come to gloat? The feds got me good. That tip. Was you? Wasn't it? Every word. I sat across, pulling the papers. But this is why. His eyes widened as he scanned the fakes. His own hand damn near leaping off the page. Lila, she said it was clean. For us. For the future. For her future. I hit record. Voice steady. Tell me about the shot.
Mark.
Christmas morning. How it felt to pull the trigger on your wife. He froze. Glass midway to lips. Then the dam broke, rambling confessions. Slurred and raw. The plan hatched over summer barbecues. Lila's idea to protect the grandkids, the silencer bought from a dark web contact. It was mercy.
Eminência.
You were suffering. The booze. The paranoia. Mercy. I echoed. Bile rising. Play it for the DA. Or the press. Your call. He lunged then, wild-eyed. But the snow had slickened the porch. One shove, self-defense, clean as a whistle, and he tumbled, skull cracking on the icy step like a dropped ornament. Dead before I called 911, voice trembling for the record. Mark? Oh God. He slipped help. The cops bought it. Ruled accidental. Lila arrived at the station in hysterics, clutching that damn phone.
Mom.
What have you done? Fix what you broke. I handed her the recorder. The will.
Take it. Run.
But know this. Christmas is for real family. And you're not mine anymore. She stared, then nodded. Shattered. The $3 million? Wired to a trust for my grandkids, her kids, the clause rewritten by Dawn. No contact. No claims. I vanished to the West Coast. A beach town in Oregon where the fog rolls in like forgetting. New name. New life. Emery Hale. Bookstore owner. Writing memoirs no one reads.
But the twist?
6 months later. A package arrived, no return address. Inside, a single photo. Me and Lila at 5. Gap-toothed grins under a Christmas tree. And a note in her script, real family forgives. Merry Christmas.
Mom.
P.S. Baby's a girl. Emery Rose. Forgiveness? Or another hook? I burned it on the shore, watching flames dance with the tide. Revenge tasted sweet, but family? That's the real killer. And in America, we always come back for seconds. The Oregon rain hammered my bookstore roof like accusatory fingers, each drop a reminder that peace was just borrowed time. It was late September 2023, 8 months since Mark's accident, 7 since I'd ghosted the Midwest like a bad debt. Hale's Haven sat on a bluff overlooking the Pacific. Shelves groaning with dog-eared thrillers and self-help tomes that mocked my own unresolved chapters. Customers trickled in, retirees seeking cozies, surfers shaking salt from their hoodies. I played the part, folksy widow with a dry wit, no rings on my fingers, no ghosts in my eyes. But they were there, always. Lila's note had arrived in March, a landmine disguised as olive branch. I'd torched it, sure, but the ashes clung. Emery Rose. My namesake. A grandchild I'd never hold, named for the woman they'd erased. Forgiveness? Bullshit. It was leverage, a tether to drag me back into the fray.
Ide Sheka, no Auschwitz.
No PI trails. Mark's estate settled in probate hell. Lila walking away with pennies after the feds clawed back the rest. But family secrets have long half-lives, and mine was radioactive. That changed with the email. October 5th.
2:17 a.m.
Pinging my secure inbox from a throwaway. Aunt Emery? It's been years. Uncle Mark's mess is still stinking up the family. Dad's will was just the tip. Grandpa had dirt on everyone letters. Tapes. They're surfacing. Lila's involved.
Call me. Cô xin theo. Theo.
My cousin on Dad's side, the black sheep artist who'd bolted to Portland after a messy divorce. In Life 1.0, we'd exchanged Christmas cards. Nothing deep. But he'd been at the fringes of the lumber empire, sniffing scandals while I played dutiful daughter.
Dirt?
My pulse quickened. If Grandpa's hidden vaults held more than cash, proof of Mark's embezzlement, Lila's complicity, it could bury them for good. Or blow up in my face. I drove north the next dawn. The coastal highway a ribbon of gray under bruised skies. Portland's hipster haze enveloped me, food trucks slinging artisanal tacos. Baristas with sleeve tattoos foaming lattes like alchemists. Theo's loft in the Pearl District was a chaos of canvases and takeout fossils. Him shirtless and paint splattered, hugging me like we'd never drifted.
Ain't.
Christ, you look
alive.
His grin was lopsided, eyes sharp despite the weed haze. We settled on a sagging couch, mugs of something black and bitter steaming between us.
Spill. Theo.
What's surfacing? He lit a joint, exhaling slow. Grandpa's safety deposit box. Lawyer finally cracked it post-probate. Turns out he stashed evidence on the whole damn clan. Mark wasn't the first to dip into the cookie jar. Dad, your uncle, siphoned funds in the 90s for that failed mill expansion. And Lila? Girl's been playing both sides. Forged emails to the IRS, trying to pin it all on Mark posthumously. But there's tapes. You, talking to Grandpa about concerns with Mark years back. Proof you suspected. Suspected. The word twisted like a knife. I'd confided in Dad over whiskeys in his study. Vague worries about Mark's overtime. He'd patted my hand. Gruff. Handle your own house. Girl. Blood's thicker. Turns out, he knew. Collected the sins like stamps. Theo slid a USB drive across the coffee table. Matte black and innocuous. Copy for you. But this could destroy her. Lila's pregnant. Remember? And broke. Husband left her high and dry. Controversial crossroads again. Leak it. And I'd orphan my grandkids emotionally. Paint myself the vengeful specter. Bury it. And let the cycle spin. Lila rebuilding on lies. Theo's art career tanking if the family imploded. Why me? I asked, voice low. You could have gone public. He shrugged, smoke curling like question marks. You're the phoenix.
'Cause.
Rose from the ashes.
Besides.
I owe you. That Christmas 22, you sent me a check anonymous like. After my ex cleaned me out. Knew it was you. Karma's bitch slap. I'd forgotten that gesture. A pittance from my dwindling savings. Now it bound us. I pocketed the drive, promising nothing. Drove back south with the Pacific roaring approval. Mind a storm of what-ifs. Back at Hales Haven, I plugged in under the cover of midnight, the store's single bulb casting long shadows like accusatory fingers. Files unfolded, PDFs of ledgers. Grainy audio of Dad grilling Uncle Ray about missing timber contracts. Then the gem of video. Timestamped 2021. Lila in Grandpa's office. Young and wide-eyed. Begging, please.
Grandpa.
Just adjust the will a little.
Mom's.
Not stable. Dad says she'll blow it on booze. My blood ran cold. She was 22, fresh from college, already scheming. Dad's voice, gravelly. Family protects family. Lila. But lies? They rot from the inside. He'd refused. Of course, hence the clause favoring me. But the seed was planted. Rage warred with pity. My girl, molded by Mark's manipulations into a mirror of his greed. I could have confronted her then, emailed the clip. But no, too direct, too merciful. Instead, I started the slow poison, anonymous posts on family genealogy forums. Snippets redacted just enough to intrigue. Ellis family secrets, forged wills and hidden fortunes? Views ticked up. Shares from distant relatives like vultures scenting carrion. November brought Thanksgiving. The holiday I'd once hosted with turkey that fed 20.
Now.
I closed the shop early. Microwaved a sad meal for one. Toasting absent specters with Pinot. The call came as pie cooled untouched. Lila's number. Voicemail icon blinking. Mom?
It's
bad. The family's turning on me. Theo's spreading rumors. Saying God, I didn't forge anything. Not really. Please.
Call back.
For Emery Rose. She's kicking like crazy.
Kicking.
A life. Innocent amid the fallout. I deleted it, but the hook sank deeper. By December, the forums buzzed. Uncle Ray faced audits. His golf club memberships revoked. Lila's online presence crumbled. Mom life posts met with fraud mom hashtags. She relocated to a subsidized apartment in Peoria. Birth announcements muted. Christmas Eve. The store twinkled with forced cheer, faux wreaths. Bing Crosby crooning from tinny speakers. A woman entered at dusk. Bundled against the chill, mid-30s. Blonde streaks in brunette hair. Eyes like mine, but haunted. Lila. Mom. One word. And the air thickened. I froze behind the register. Rag in hand from dusting bestsellers. How'd you find me? Private investigator. Desperate times. She rubbed her belly. 8 months along. The swell undeniable. I know what you think. What you've done. The tips. The leaks, it's you. Isn't it? Paying me back. Payback. The American pastime. Served cold. I gestured to a reading nook. Armchairs worn soft as confessions.
Seat.
Da. She nodded, deflating into the cushions. Words tumbled. Mark's grooming. Her complicity born of fear. He said you destroy us all if you got the money. That you were weak. The abortion secret, twisted into proof of my instability to sway Dad. And the shooting, I didn't know he'd. I thought it was a bluff. When the cops came, I panicked. Lied to protect the kids. Lies layered like sedimentary rock. Part truth, part toxin. Why now? I asked, handing her chamomile. The baby, everything. Tears tracked mascara. Emery rose. She deserves better. Not this poison.
I
forgive you for Mark. If you forgive me, forgiveness. The word hung, controversial as a plea bargain. I could have walked away, let the feds finish her. But the drive burned in my safe upstairs, evidence that could exonerate as much as condemn. One condition, I said. The truth. All of it. Recorded. For her. She agreed, voice quavering as we sat into the night, her confessions spilling like unraveling yarn.
By dawn,
she slept on my couch,
exhausted.
I wired funds, not millions, but enough for a fresh start. $50,000.
Clean.
Go west, I whispered. Phoenix. Start over. But no contact. For real this time. She left with the dawn patrol. A cab idling outside.
Baby bay slung over shoulder.
A hug. Brief and bone-crushing. Merry Christmas.
Mom.
To real family. The door chimed shut, and silence rushed in. I burned the recordings, not out of mercy, but strategy. Let the secrets die with the old year. But the twist lingered. A week later, another package. This one held a onesie, pink and tiny, monogrammed AR. And a voicemail. Theo's voice. She's clean.
Eminencia.
Lila flipped on Ray, testified for immunity. The clan's crumbling. You win. But blood calls blood. Holiday soon. Dinner?
When?
In America's revenge economy. Victory's just the intermission. I booked a flight east. The Pacific fading behind. Christmas waited, fraught with new betrayals. Or maybe, just maybe, redemption. The flight to Chicago was a metal coffin hurtling through thunderheads, turbulence jolting me like suppressed memories. December 24th, 2023, 1 year to the day since my rebirth in that Vegas haze. I'd lied to myself about staying buried in Oregon, but Theo's invite was catnip, family dinner, neutral ground in a Decatur bistro, far from Elmwood's ghosts. No drama, he'd texted. Famous last words. O'Hare spat me out into slushy chaos. Holiday travelers herding like panicked cattle. Rental car keys in hand, I navigated the Dan Ryan Expressway's snarl. Billboards hawking last-minute gifts. Make memories this Christmas. Irony. Thy name is consumerism. Theo's address led to a converted warehouse. Fairy lights strung like barbed wire across brick. He buzzed me up. Apron dusted with flour. Kitchen a war zone of roasting pans and wine bottles. "'Cuz, you made it." Hug tight. Smelling of garlic and ganja. Lila's not here, swore off family till the baby's born. Smart girl. Relief flickered. Doused quick by the guests filtering in, Aunt Clara. Dad's sister. Pearls clutched like rosaries, Uncle Ray's widow. Eyes darting like she'd swallowed secrets, distant cousins nursing grudges older than Medicare. Toasts clinked, to absent patriarchs. To turning pages. But undercurrents swirled, whispers about the scandals, glances my way like I was Exhibit A in the family freak show. Plates heaped with prime rib and green bean casserole, Midwest comfort food, heavy as regret. Conversations skirted minds. Emery, heard you open a shop out west? Brave. After. Everything. Aunt Clara's probe. Sugar-coated. Braver than staying stuck, I replied, fork spearing a carrot. Theo shot me a wink, steering to safer waters. Art shows. Grandkid antics. But post-dinner, as coffee brewed, Ray's widow cornered me by the dessert tray. It was you, wasn't it? The letters to the prosecutor. Ray's dead now, heart attack in cuffs. You killed him too. Accusation hung. Controversial as a loaded clip. Ray had been the architect, Dad's right-hand man skimming for decades. Mark his eager apprentice. I'd leaked just enough to topple dominoes. But her grief was raw, weaponized. Karma's not me. Aunt Vi, I said soft. It's consequence. She slapped me, crack echoing like gunfire. Gasps rippled. Theo pulled her back, ushering her out. The party deflated, cousins scattering like roaches. Alone with Theo over pie remnants. He sighed. Worth it? For Dad's legacy? Yeah. I rubbed my cheek. Sting fading. But the cost.
Tay.
What's your angle? Really? He leaned in, voice low. The box. There's more. Not just evidence, Grandpa's journal. Entries about you. Says you were the strong one, but too trusting. Warned about Mark early.
And
something about your mom. Not dying in that car wreck. Staged. My fork clattered. Mom gone when I was 12. Accident on icy roads returning from a Chicago gala. Dad's version. Drunk driver. Tragedy. But staged? Heart-hammering. I snatched his keys. Show me. We tore to his studio downtown. Rain sheeting windshields. The journal lay in a lockbox. Leather cracked as old wounds. Dad's scrawl. Meticulous. Emery's too young for this. Elaine confessed, affair with Ray. Siphoning for escape. I fixed it.
Quietly.
For the girl.
Fixed.
The word chilled deeper than winter. Mom alive? Faked death. Fled with Ray's blood money? Or worse, Dad's hand in it. Covering tracks? Pages blurred through tears. Coordinates to a cabin in Wisconsin. Dated 2010. She's out there.
Theo?
All these years. Maybe. Or myth. He gripped my shoulder. Your call. Phoenix. Dawn broke gray as we plotted. Road trip north. Christmas morning recon. But fate's a prankster. My phone buzzed mid-pack, unknown number. Lila's voice. Frantic. Mom, it's the baby early. Hospital in Peoria. I need you. Please. Controversial calculus. Chase Mom's ghost. Or midwife my redemption.
On my way. I lied.
Hanging up. Theo drove instead. His Jeep cutting through flurries to Swedish-American in Rockford. No. Wrong. Peoria's OSF. 2 hours of white-knuckled silence. Radio droning carols like dirges. The waiting room was a purgatory of fluorescent buzz and holiday music. Lila spotted me first. Gown-clad in a wheelchair. Face pale as bleach. You came. Family, I said, the word tasting foreign. Emery Rose arrived at 10:47 a.m., a squall of pink fury. 7 pounds of wrinkled promise. Nurses cooed. Lila wept, handing her over. Holding that tiny weight, eyes like mine staring back, trusting. Unscarred, I cracked. She's perfect. Hours blurred. Lila's confessions in hushed tones. Epidural honesty. I hated you for being strong. Dad made me believe weakness was love.
Forgiveness flot tentative.
A truce over Jell-O cups. But as visiting hours waned, my phone pinged Theo, cabin empty. But a letter. For you. From Elaine.
I'm sorry.
Stay hidden. They're watching.
They.
Who? The family web. Tangled tighter than I knew. I pocketed the note, kissing Lila's forehead.
Heal.
I'll handle the rest. Back on the road. Wisconsin bound. Snow thickened to blizzard. The cabin emerged from pines like a forgotten postcard, boarded windows. Chimney cold.
Inside.
Dust motes danced in flashlight beams, faded photos. Mom's handwriting on yellowed envelopes. One unsealed. Emery, your father loved too fiercely. The accident was his mercy. I was leaving anyway. Forgive us both.
Love. Mom.
Mercy. Echoes of Mark's whisper. Dad hadn't staged it, covered her flight. Ray's involvement buried deep. But they're watching? Paranoia or prophecy? Climax crashed that night. Headlights pierced the dark. A black SUV crunching gravel. Door burst. 2 suits. Badges flashing FBI. Emery Thompson? We need to talk. About your father's associates. And your activities. Activities. My leaks. Traced? Heart slamming. I bolted out back. Snow swallowing boots. They pursued. Shouts lost in wind. Branches whipped. Lungs burning. Rebirth's irony. Running from feds in the woods Dad logged. Tripped into a ravine. Rolling to a creek's edge. Gunshots? No. Echoes of snapping twigs. Dawn found me huddled in a deer blind. Phone dead. SUV gone. Stumbled to a ranger station miles away.
Spinning a Ikertale.
By noon, back in Peoria. Lila discharged with babe in arms. What happened? She asked. Eyes wide. Ghosts, I muttered. But we're done chasing. The feds? A warning shot. Dad's old ties to shady unions. Ray's schemes rippling federal. They'd pegged me as whistleblower. Offer protection if I flipped on ghosts long buried. I declined. Vanishing deeper. Hale's haven sold. Proceeds to a trust for Emery Rose. New digs in Seattle. Alias fresh as rain. But the tension coiled. Mom out there. Alive in shadows? And they. The family's dark underbelly. Lumber barons with mobbed-up histories? Revenge's high war thin. Leaving questions sharper than blades. New Year's Eve. Fireworks burst over Puget Sound as I penned a letter and signed. To coordinates in the journal. If you're reading this,
Mom. Come home.
or stay gone. Either way, I'm free. Mailed it. Watched waves claim the doubt. Freedom's fragile in America.
Though.
A month later. A call. Theo. Voice-edged.
Ain't.
Lila's missing.
Took the baby.
Left a note. For real family. And your letter?
Forwarded.
To the wrong hands. Twist tightening. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning again. Seattle's January gloom mirrored my marrow. Fog cloaking the ferries like conspiracies half-formed. I'd traded bookstore solitude for a waterfront condo. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the sound's restless churn. Alias, Elena Hart, consultant for nonprofits, laundering truths into tax write-offs. But Theo's call on the 15th shattered the facade. Lila vanished. Emery Rose in tow. A scribbled note pinned to her apartment door. Gone to make real family. Don't follow.
Love. Elle.
And my letter to Mom? Intercepted.
Forwarded to.
Who? The feds? Or darker players, Dad's old associates. Union ghosts with long memories and longer grudges? Sleep evaded. Replaced by nightmares of snow and gunshots. Lila's voice morphing into Mom's long-lost laugh. Theo flew in 2 days later. Gaunt under his beanie. Clutching a manila envelope like contraband. We huddled in my kitchen. Takeout faux steaming untouched. Pi traced her car to a bus station in Madison. Bought tickets to Duluth, Minnesota. Why there? Duluth. Lake Superior's icy arm. Where Dad vacationed with Mom pre-me. Fishing tails tall as pines. Coordinates from the journal flickered. A P.O. box in Superior. Just across the bridge. She's chasing ghosts too, I murmured. Or baiting me. Theo slid photos across the quartz. Grainy CCTV of Lila boarding Greyhound. Babe bundled. Eyes darting like cornered prey. Another. The envelope's postmark. Elmwood. Uncle Ray's old firm. Liquidated, but letters lingering. Inside, my mom letter. Annotated in red pen. We know about Elaine. And the girl. $5 million to forget. Drop at the mill. Midnight. New Year's. Or, the baby swims with the logs. Ransom. The lumber mill. Dad's first. Shuttered since his stroke. Now a rusting relic on the Mississippi bluffs. Blackmail. American vintage. Money for silence. Or drown the innocent in family sins. Rage surged. Hot and clarifying. We're ending this. Controversial endgame. Pay. And empower the shadows. Fight. And risk Lila's blood on my hands, again. Theo argued caution. Cops.
Feds.
But trust eroded like cliffs. Who'd believe the dead? Wife's daughter. The whistleblower widow?
No.
Solo op. My rebirth's burden. We plotted over maps. Me to Duluth. Theo looping in a hacker buddy for digital Overwatch. Flew commercial. Blending as tourists. Rented a Subaru nondescript as sin. Duluth welcomed with gale force winds off the lake. Motels neon lit against the dark. Lila's trail, a flea bag in near the canal. Room paid cash. Knocked at dusk, no answer. Manager shrugged. Checked out yesterday. Headed south. Mumbling about family reunion. South toward the mill. 200 miles of badlands and backroads. Drove through night. Radio scanning static. Mind replaying betrayals like a greatest hits reel. Arrived pre-dawn. The mill a skeletal giant under sodium lamps. Conveyors frozen. Log ponds stagnant mirrors. Midnight loomed. I parked a quarter-mile out. Black hoodie and gloves. Duffel of banded 20s. Real cash. Half the demanded. Wired from offshore remnants. Shadows stirred as I approached the drop. Figures in coveralls. Faces obscured by balaclavas. 3. Maybe 4. The money? One grunted. Voice muffled Midwest gravel. First. The girl. My demand. Steel-edged. Heart thundered. Rebirth's gift. Fear tempered to fury. Laughter barked. Feisty like your old man. She's inside. Safe. For now. Inside, the old office. Dad's desk warped by damp. They marched me, zip ties biting wrists, the duffel tossed to a fourth shadow, slight.
Familiar curve.
Lila.
No bade.
Mom. Relief ward horror. Where's Emery Rose? Safe. With a sitter in town. Her eyes.
Wild.
This wasn't supposed to, they cornered me. Said you'd pay for the leaks. For Ray.
They.
The balaclavas unmasked. Hargrove cousins. Dad's bastard kin from a Milltown fling. Long nursing exclusion grudges. Ray's protégés. Laundering through ghost companies. Your pops cut us out, the leader snarled. Pistol casual on his thigh. Now you fix it. Or she. Nod to Lila. Controversial precipice. Beg. Or bait. I laughed.
Low.
You think $5 mill covers blood? Feds have your ledgers. Theo's got backups. Drop this. And maybe you skate. Bluff ignited chaos. Leader lunged. Gun whipping. Lila screamed. Tackling him. I twisted free. Zip ties snapping on a nail. Karma's edge. Fought dirty. Knee to groin. Elbow to throat. Gun skittered. I fired wild. Shattering glass. Alarms wailed. Mill's ghost security. Motion triggered. They scattered. Leader dragging Lila. I pursued into the sorting yard. Moonlight glinting off chainsaw's long idle. Caught him at the pond's edge. Pistol reclaimed. Barrel to temple. Let her go. Or swim eternal. He froze. Breath fogging. It's bigger than us. The union. Old debts. Your mom knew. That's why she ran.
Mom.
The twist uncoiled. Elaine. Alive. Entangled in the web, Ray's lover. Informant to feds in the 90s. Faked death to escape reprisals. Dad's mercy a cover. She'd resurfaced. Whispering to these cousins for a cut. Lila's flight?
Bait.
Orchestrated to draw me. Force payout from my will-won fortune. Sirens wailed distant. Theo's 911 ping. Leader bolted. Slipping into dark, I hauled Lila to cover behind a conveyor. Why? I gasped as blue lights flashed. She called me. Mom, your mom. Said it was time to end the cycle. But they found out. Lila sobbed. Emery Rose. She's with her. Grandma.
Grandma.
The word unlocked floods. Feds swarmed post-on. Cousins cuffed in a diner stakeout. Theo's hacker gold. Interrogations peeled layers. Mom in witness protection. Duluth alias. Emery Rose her ward for safekeeping. The $5 mill demand? Desperation ploy. Union remnants squeezing last drops. Reunion came in a safe house. Upstate New York, neutral snow globe. Mom. Silver-streaked. Eyes unchanged. Hugging like decades dissolved. I watched you.
Eminencia.
From afar. Proud. Lila cradled Emery Rose. Circle closing. Forgiveness? Earned in tears. Truths aired raw. But controversial coda. I turned state's evidence. Burying the old guard for good. Mom testified too. Emerging from shadows. The money? Seeded a foundation. Lumber sustainable. Scholarships for mill kids. No more blood fortunes. Spring bloomed in Elmwood. Me back in the Craftsman, renovated. Ghosts exorcised. Lila nearby. Co-parenting Emery Rose in fits of normalcy. Park picnics.
Bedtime stories sans skeleton.
Theo painted murals for the foundation,
Und Clara Baquette pis sans poison.
but endings twist in America. One July Eve. Porch swing creaking. Mom beside me. Sunset bleeding orange over fields. Happy, she asked. Free, I said. Close enough. Yet the phone buzzed, a blocked call. Voice distorted. Cycle ends?
Nah.
New games just starting. Mary belated. Emery.
Click.
Shadows lengthen. But this phoenix? She's got fireproof wings. And family real. Forged in flames, at her back. Christmas next year? We'll redefine it. No betrayals. Just us.